Welcome to the Depth Dive. You've sent us a snapshot of 5 recent NBA games, just the final scores and like some notes on key performances.
hmm
Our mission today is to, well, go beyond the box score and
Uh,
really understand what made these matchups interesting, what the underlying stories are without you having to watch hours of basketball highlights.
exactly. It's about extracting those nuggets of information that, tell a bigger story about these teams and players right now. Yeah. We've got a diverse set of contests here, so yeah, let's jump in.
All right, the 5 games we're diving into are Golden State Warriors versus the Los Angeles Lakers. Warriors took that one 123-116.
Okay.
Portland Trailblazers against the Toronto Raptors, a 112-103 win for the Blazers.
Right.
Minnesota Timberwolves versus Brooklyn Nets, where the Timberwolves won pretty convincingly, 105-90.
Big win there.
Memphis Grizzlies versus Miami Heat, a real nail-biter that ended 110-108 for the Grizzlies.
Ooh, close one.
And finally, Milwaukee Bucks against the Philadelphia 76ers, with the Bucks winning 126-113. Okay, let's unpack that Warriors-Lakers game first. What stood out to you beyond the final score?
Well, what's fascinating right away is the description. The notes say the Warriors' victory was driven by relentless offense and sharp shooting.
Yeah,
For a team that's, been through so much and faced questions about their consistency, that kind of offensive firepower suggests they can still tap into that championship DNA when it matters.
yeah.
It makes you wonder, what were the Lakers doing defensively that allowed that relentless pressure?
That's a great question. And when you look at the individual performances, Stephen Curry's numbers just jump out. 34 points, 7 assists, 5 rebounds.
Wow.
The notes specifically mention his crucial three-point shooting. It's almost a cliche with him, but it sounds like he was particularly like on fire, and that really dictated the flow of the game.
It probably wasn't just the volume of threes, but likely the timing.
hmm
A crucial three at the right moment can completely deflate an opponent's momentum.
Yeah.
And building on that offensive firepower, we also see Draymond Green's impact on the other side of the ball. Those steals and blocks aren't just empty stats. They disrupt the Lakers' offensive rhythm
Yeah,
and can lead to easy transition points for the Warriors. It's that two-way impact that makes them so valuable.
absolutely. On the Lakers side, LeBron James put up a very LeBron-esque stat line. 28 points, 9 rebounds, 8 assists. Still carrying a massive load for that team.
Always does.
But the fact that it wasn't enough, well, it raises questions about the rest of the roster.
Exactly. The notes mention the Lakers' shooting inconsistency in the second half and the impact of missing key players due to injuries. Even a player as dominant as LeBron can't single-handedly overcome stretches of poor shooting and the absence of key contributors.
Right.
It suggests a reliance on him that can be exploited if the supporting cast isn't consistent.
Let's shift gears then. Portland Trailblazers versus the Toronto Raptors. Blazers won 112-103. The emphasis in the notes is on their impenetrable defense and coordinated team play, which apparently is contributing to an impressive season. That sounds like a real shift for Portland, doesn't it? They're traditionally known more for their offense.
It does. And leading that offensive end, as you might expect, was Damian Lillard with the stellar 36 points and 10 assists.
Big game for Dame.
Huge. And the description of his leadership in crucial moments tells you he's not just putting up numbers, but he's the one guiding the team through tight situations. What kind of crucial plays do you think someone like Lillard is making in those moments?
Oh, you'd imagine it's a mix, right? Hitting big shots, obviously, but also making smart passes to open teammates, maybe controlling the tempo when things get frantic.
Right, settling things down.
Yeah. The Raptors, despite Pascal Siakam's strong performance, 27 points and 11 rebounds, they couldn't quite get the win. What do you think was the deciding factor that made that Blazers defense so impenetrable?
Well, the notes highlight their ability to contest shots and
Well.
secure rebounds. Those are, fundamental defensive principles, right?
Mm-hmm.
And when a team executes them consistently, it makes life incredibly difficult for the opposition. It suggests a level of focus and effort on the defensive end that maybe the Raptors couldn't match for the full 48 minutes.
Maybe giving up too many second chances.
Could be. Or just not get enough stops in key possessions. That defensive intensity from Portland seems key.
Okay, moving down to Minneapolis, the Timberwolves had a convincing win over the Mets, 105-90, attributed to aggressive play and strategic maneuvers. That sounds like a game where they really dictated the terms from the start.
It does, and Anthony Edwards seems to have been the catalyst. 29.7 rebounds.
Ant-Man.
Yeah, the notes specifically mention his explosive athleticism penetrating the Nets' defense. That kind of constant pressure and ability to get to the basket can really open up the floor for his teammates, too. How do you think that aggressive play translated beyond just Edwards scoring?
You'd expect it to involve things like pushing the pace in transition, attacking the offensive glass, just generally playing with a high level of intensity that can wear down an opponent over time.
Makes sense.
On the net side, Kevin Durant put up 24 and 8, which is solid, but maybe not peak KD. And while Kyrie Irving was also playing, the notes say they couldn't reach their usual scoring levels. That's a significant drop-off for two players of their caliber.
It really is. And the notes point to the Nets' faltering defense, which allowed fast breaks and second-chance points. When your star players aren't at their absolute offensive peak, you absolutely need your defense to be solid.
Yeah, you can't have both ends failing.
Exactly. Giving up easy opportunities like fast breaks and second-chance points is just, well, it's a recipe for a decisive loss, especially against a team playing with the kind of aggression the Timberwolves apparently showed.
Let's talk about that thriller in Memphis. Grizzlies versus Heat, 110-108 for the Grizz, nail-biting and showcasing last-minute plays and unwavering determination. That sounds like the kind of game fans absolutely live for.
Absolutely. And right smack in the middle of it was Ja Morant. 31 points, 9 assists, including the all-important game-winning layup.
Clutch.
That's the kind of moment that defines a player's reputation, isn't it? For clutch performance. What does a game-winning layup in a tight contest like that tell you about Morant's mindset in those high-pressure situations?
It suggests, like, a total fearlessness, right?
Yeah.
And a confidence in his ability to get to the rim and finish, even when the defense is probably completely keyed in on him.
No doubt.
The Heat, led by Jimmy Butler's strong 26 points and 10 rebounds, clearly put up a massive fight. So what ultimately allowed the Grizzlies to just edge out the win in such a close game?
The notes highlight the Grizzlies' defensive resilience, particularly their ability to force turnovers. In a game decided by just 2 points, those extra possessions gained through turnovers can be absolutely critical.
Huge difference makers.
Totally. It suggests that even when the Heat were executing well offensively, the Grizzlies' defense found ways to disrupt them and create those vital opportunities. It wasn't just about Joe's heroics at the end. It was that defense throughout.
Good point. Finally, we have the Milwaukee Bucks dominating the Philadelphia 76ers 126-113. The notes call it a display of their offensive prowess and solid defense, labeling them a formidable force. That's a pretty strong assessment.
It is, and Giannis Antetokounmpo's performance certainly justifies that description. A dominant 38 points, 12 rebounds, and 6 assists.
Just another day at the office for Giannis.
Pretty much. The notes emphasize his physical presence and ability to drive to the basket. When he's playing like that, he's incredibly difficult to stop. What kind of defensive schemes do you think the 76ers might have tried, or maybe should have tried, to throw at him?
Oh, you'd imagine they tried everything, probably double teams, different matchups, maybe trying to build a wall to cut off his driving lanes.
The usual playbook against him?
Yeah, right. But when a player of his caliber is that determined and physically gifted, sometimes there's just not much you can do. Joel Embiid had a very good game for the 76ers himself with 32 points and 11 rebounds, so it wasn't as if their star player completely underperformed.
Exactly. But the difference seems to have been the Bucks' overall team performance. The notes mention the 76ers struggled to contain the Bucks' offense as a whole.
Ah, so not just Giannis.
Right, and it also highlights significant contributions from the Bucks' bench. That suggests a depth and balance that the 76ers maybe couldn't quite match in this particular game. It wasn't just about stopping Giannis. The entire Bucks team was clicking.
That makes sense. So, looking back at these 5 games, we've seen some really compelling individual performances, some tight finishes, some dominant displays. What are the real overarching takeaways for you from this set of results?
Well, beyond the excitement of, individual moments, you could definitely see different paths to victory. Some teams relied on explosive individual scoring, Curry, Lillard, Morant. Others on that suffocating defense, like Portland showed, and some, like the Bucks, on a more balanced team approach. It really highlights the variety of ways teams can be successful in today's NBA.
True.
We also saw how crucial even small advantages like winning the turnover battle in that Grizzlies Heat game or getting key offensive rebounds can be in deciding these close contests.
The margins are thin.
Very thin. And finally, the impact of star player performance is undeniable, obviously, but consistent contributions from the entire roster seem essential for sustained success, like we saw with the Bucks bench stepping up.
Yeah, that depth really matters. So for you, our listener, this deep dive into these recent NBA games should give you a much clearer picture of what went down and why these results matter. We've highlighted the key players, the crucial moments, and the underlying factors that contributed to each outcome, all without you having to spend hours catching up on highlights.
Precisely. You've got the distilled essence of these 5 contests, giving you a better understanding of the current landscape of the league, hopefully.
So here's a question to really chew on as you follow the rest of the season. Considering these 5 very different games and the various factors that led to wins and losses, what do you think is the most critical ingredient for a team aspiring to consistent success in the NBA? Is it the undeniable brilliance of a top-tier superstar like Curry or Giannis?
Mm-hmm.
Is it a relentless and disciplined defensive unit like Portland's seem to be?
Yeah.
Or is it that seamless chemistry and contribution from like every player on the roster, the way the Bucks showed? It's definitely something to think about as these teams continue to battle it out.